Secretary General.
Consideration of bills.
I now call upon the Honourable Attorney General to move his motion. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament of Friday, 11 December, I now move that the National Payment System Bill 2020 be debated, voted upon, and be passed. Thank you.
Is there a seconder?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to second the motion.
Honourable members, the debate is limited to 1 hour, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament. I now call upon the Honourable Attorney General to speak to his motion. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. By way of brief background, the National Payment System Bill 2020 was tabled here in Parliament on Friday, 11 December 2020 as Bill number 48 of 2020 and referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights for review. Mr. Speaker, sir, following the consultations, the Standing Committee tabled a review report on 9th of February, just earlier on this week. Mr. Speaker, sir, the scope of the central bank's powers regarding payment services has evolved quite tremendously over the past number of years, mainly driven by the continuous evolution of the market and growing importance of payment systems for financial stability. In the past, central banks would only focus on systemically important payment systems. Nowadays, their focus includes a broad range of providers for those payment services, thus further elevating and enhancing their regulatory tools and widening the objectives of their mission. This in particular, Mr. Speaker, sir, includes non-financial institutions involved in payment services, either directly as a payment service provider, as an agent of a payment service provider, or by outsourcing by a payment service provider. This is due to the fact that the safety and efficiency of the payment system requires monitoring of all relevant factors and actors in the market, including those not traditionally covered by the central bank supervision. Things like M-Pesa comes to mind. We have, Mr. Speaker, so interestingly enough, even after COVID-19, there's been a huge influx of payments from overseas through the M-Pesa system. So a lot more families and friends who live overseas are now sending smaller amounts. And in fact, the number of remittances have not dropped significantly. The additional focus on retail payments, Mr. Speaker, empowers the central bank to also address consumer protection issues to ensure the fair treatment of payment instruments users, regardless of the nature of payment. Mr. Speaker, sir, the central banks have started to generally refer to the national payment system as an autonomous concept and to exercise general oversight powers over the whole sector. This means that the central bank, in addition to regulation of payment systems and instruments, is in charge of facilitating a payment system strategy for the country. It also permits the banks to establish the central bank, to establish general guidance principles for the market, to permeate not only its direct action regulating the market, but also that of any other relevant stakeholder, including the private sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Reserve Bank of Fiji, of course, is our central bank, and it follows the regulatory trends in line with international standards and best practice. We also, Mr. Speaker, sir, somebody had mentioned, I think from the back, mentioned about the green bonds. It's very much active. It's on the London Stock Exchange. But not just the green bonds, but other bonds, Mr. Speaker, so what we call the debt securities market, which includes government bonds and treasury bills, and statutory body securities, are issued in the physical paper-based certificate form. So in other words, it gets typed, there's a typewriter, they fill out the names, you get a physical certificate. What will happen through this national payment system and the technology it can adopt under that, it will introduce what we call the dematerialization of securities. In other words, the securities are actually held in electronic form through the implementation of a central securities depository and automated transfer system, which will of course impact the timeliness and efficiency of the trading support and the development. And also, Mr. Speaker, it leads to the liquidity of the financial securities market, which enhances also secondary market trading, which we've talked about on a continuous basis. All of this, Mr. Speaker, aligns to government's 5- and 10-year development plans, including the 20-year development plan. Mr. Speaker, interestingly enough, the other Pacific Island countries are trying to also implement these, and these include Samoa, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, and Papua New Guinea. And we need to do this very quickly because we actually want to stay ahead of the ball game. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Honourable Attorney General. Honourable members, the floor is now open for debate on this motion.